It's just making my mouth water. Isn't that awesome? I love it. Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina today at Subzero Wolf Showroom, and honestly, it is fantastic in here. I'm so excited to have been invited in, and you know, Subzero Wolf is my overall sponsor for the show. So today you've got quite a treat. We're going to use some of this fabulous equipment. We're going to make 3 recipes from the VeryVera cookbook, and most importantly, we're going to have a lot of fun. So I have to be honest, we're going to get a little nutty today with the recipes. We're going to start with the pecan bread pudding. Really decadent. It has a bourbon sauce that goes over it, and it's a perfect dessert. Plus you could use it for a brunch if you were needing a new recipe for that. Then we're going to do a pecan crusted chicken salad over mixed greens. It's actually fantastic. I'm going to show you how to candy the pecans that go in it. And then we've got a fantastic giveaway. So we've got a lot to do. Let's get started with that pecan bread pudding. Okay, I'm ready to get started with this bread pudding. And you know, some of the recipes in the book are just so simple and easy to do, and this is certainly one of them. And it's another way to use bread or croissants that maybe you forgot you had and you need to do something with them quick since they've gotten a little bit stale to eat, you know, right away. So this is a perfect recipe for that. So what you're going to use to make this is an 8x8 baking dish. And I'm just going to spray that quickly with some pan spray. You know, the cleanup is the worst part of cooking, right? So anything we can do to make that easier is perfect. And then just 8 croissants is what you're going to use for this. And you can use 8 of the little ones, or you can use 4 of the great big ones. So these are the larger ones. And you want to tear this into like 1-inch pieces. And this is where your child can come help you in the kitchen. You know, I love to give suggestions of where you can bring that young person in quickly. All right, so all of your croissants in the pan, and it looks like it's just going to be overflowing, but once we've made the mixture that goes on top, this will kind of flatten down just a little bit. So let's go to the mixture. And this is butter and sugar that I've gone ahead and just mixed with my hand mixer just to get it good and incorporated. And now we're going to start adding all the other wonderful things to it. So we're going to start with 3 whole eggs. I've got a cup of whole milk. And again, you can use the hand mixer, or I really kind of like just to use a whisk. So I'm going to get started just whisking this together. And then, as I always say, and I even mentioned this in the book, if you'll go ahead and get all of your ingredients out and measured and ready to go, you are going to enjoy the process so much better. It's going to be no problem that you go to the cabinet and you're out of vanilla or you don't have enough. So teaching that, you know, especially to your young person, but just for yourself, it just makes getting in the kitchen so much more fun. You can almost feel like you're in front of a TV camera doing it as well. All right, so I've got cinnamon, nutmeg, and lots of vanilla. And this can be made an hour or so ahead. It can be made 10 minutes ahead. It can be made the night before. So it's very versatile as far as figuring out your timeline and when you can do that. So now I'm just going to pour this mixture over my croissants. Just make sure you get them all covered. All right, now I'm going to take my whisk and I just want to press these croissants down into that mixture. We're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes before we put it in the oven, because I am going to bake it right away, but we do want that mixture to get soaked in. So now let's come over to the stove, and I have prepared ahead the bourbon sauce. So this is butter, sugar, and you want to stir that just until you know that it's dissolved really well. and then take it off the heat, or in my case, with this induction stove, I can leave it right here. Turn it off and that heat goes away. Then you add the bourbon, because you actually want the bourbon to become part of the flavor and not evaporate. All right, so we're gonna get this bread pudding in the oven. I'm gonna top it with a few pecans. And then this is gonna go in the oven. And when we come back from the break, we're gonna get started on that pecan crusted chicken salad, which was my absolute favorite in the cafe. So come back with me in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and I don't know, but that bread pudding smells amazing. It's in the oven, and before I put it in the oven, I covered it with aluminum foil. It's gonna bake for about 25 to 30 minutes on 350, and then I'm gonna remove the foil and put it back in the oven for about 10, just to get it good and toasty brown on the top. It's gonna be fantastic. So now we're on to the pecan crusted chicken salad, which honestly, it was my favorite thing. When I had the cafe on Washington Road in Augusta, Georgia, people came in for lunch, and I would always clear my calendar so I could wait tables. And we had the little tiny pads that you walked up and said, "What can I get you today?" And we did 3 initials for pecan crusted chicken salad, PCC, and I love to just write that down and take that order. It's one of my fondest memories of my time at VeryVera. So this again is a simple recipe. There's parts of it that you can do in advance of preparation, like the step that we're gonna do right now in preparing the meal that goes on the chicken. So food processor, I've got some flour and whole pecans. It's like I said, we're getting nutty today on the VeryVera show with all the recipes made with Georgia pecans. All right, so I'm just gonna grind these up. And you want this to be kind of a fine pecan meal. And that's about right. And I've got my chicken breast already rinsed off and ready to go. I'm gonna put this over in my pie pan where I'm gonna be doing the dredging in just a few minutes. All right, so the chicken breasts are ready. And you know, the chicken breasts at the grocery store just keep getting larger and larger and larger. And so if they're really fat, you can pound those down with a mallet just to make it a little bit more of an even cooking. But in the baking process, I really like to leave them like this because I like for the chicken to be really tender. And it, you know, sometimes the deeper it is in thickness, the more likely that is to happen. So I'm just gonna pat the excess moisture off of those. And then you cannot put enough salt and pepper on a raw chicken breast. I mean, it just has got to be loaded up. Even though we want the pecan flavor to come through, we certainly want the seasoning to be on the chicken breast. All right, I've got a little bit of salt. Just go over these. And in one pie pan, I've got buttermilk, and you saw the pecan meal in the other. So we're just gonna do a wet and dry dredge. So I'll get started with that. So it's the chicken breast, the wet, then the dry. Oh, this is just, I mean, it's the best. And I don't know that you can tell by the photograph in the cookbook. The photography, by the way, is amazing. Peter Frank Edwards out of Charleston did the photography. And Frank, if you're listening, I know you ate this about 1,000,000 times while we were doing the photography. But just look at that. I mean, it's just an amazing, and I'm gonna move this over now to my pan. But it doesn't get crisp like fried chicken. It gets a really nice golden feel to it. Let me wipe my hands off. Gets a nice golden feel to it, but it's not crisp like fried chicken. And this part, what I'm doing right now, you can actually do and freeze and then bake it later. All right, so dredge in the wet. And then in the dry. but the buttermilk really keeps this coated really well. And then this can actually be an entree if you're not doing it on a salad. So what we did, if this was a lunch portion at the cafe, you got a whole chicken breast on that salad. I always thought I didn't charge quite enough for that salad. It was so good. But then you can do the salad without the chicken, which works really well too. So I went ahead and did some. Let me pull that out of the oven real quick, just so you can see what it looks like. So it bakes up really nice and brown, and we're going to cut this into little strips to go on the salad. So I'll be working on that during the break, and when we come back in Vera's Corner today, I'm going to share a delicious chocolate chip cookie recipe with you that is scrumptious, that I'm also going to cook in my M-Series convection oven. So come back with me after the break. You'll learn more about that and also the fantastic giveaway that we have today. So come back with me. You know, there's nothing more comforting than a warm chocolate chip cookie. Today I'm going to share a great recipe, and we're going to bake it in the Wolf M-Series oven. Start by positioning your oven racks to rack positions 1, 3, and 5. Preheat your Wolf electric oven in convection at 325 degrees. Sift 1½ cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda into a bowl and set aside. In a large mixer bowl, beat 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter on medium speed for 1 minute. Add 1/2 cup firmly packed brown sugar and 1/2 cup sugar and beat for 2 more minutes. Add 1 egg and 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla, then beat for 1 more minute. Mix in the flour mixture on low until evenly blended, then blend in chocolate chips on low speed. Place the dough in 1 tablespoon mounds on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper or silicone sheets. Place the baking sheets in the oven and don't worry about rotating. Bake 12 to 15 minutes or until edges have browned. Remove from the oven and wait as long as you can to let them cool. Enjoy! Welcome back, everybody, and I look like I'm giving myself a facial, but I am boiling water to make the candied pecans that go on the pecan crusted chicken salad. Is kind of an extra treat. And honestly, if there was one thing that tempted me in the kitchen at VeryVera, it was when they were making these, because I love nuts, I loved candied nuts, and when they were making batches of these and I could smell it in my office, I ended up in the kitchen. So I've got the water boiling. I'm going to add in the sugar, and we're just making basically a simple syrup here. And this is just that crunch that adds so much just flavor to this salad. It is incredible. All right, so get this dissolved, and then I'm going to add the pecans in. And these are nice and big. These are wonderful. You know, Georgia is known for the pecan industry. So what you want to do here is get it all good and coated, and then we just want that liquid to cook down. And that's gonna, you know, cover these pecans up really well. That syrup will get kind of thick. So I'm gonna walk away from it for a few minutes while that's cooking down. And we're gonna talk about the greens and the rest of the salad. So you just, you know, any presentation ideas here. Certainly, I love this wooden bowl. I've done it before in, you know, just a really old looking Ernie kind of salad bowl, but whatever you have there is wonderful. And then this has blue cheese. And people say, well, I don't like blue cheese. Well, just leave the blue cheese off if you don't like it. But for me, the combination of the blue cheese, the craisins, dried cranberries, and then the mandarin oranges. You know, recipes kind of go full circle a lot. And I know when I was newly married in the 70s, there was a salad that had fresh strawberries and almonds in it. and you couldn't go anywhere where somebody wasn't serving you that salad. And it kind of went away for a while, and I think this kind of got something along these lines got introduced, but we have kind of made it our own by adding in the blue cheese, by doing the pecans the way that we do them. And you know, you just want to toss this up. In terms of what greens to use, I just love using the spring mix. The mixture of a lot of different greens in that makes it really great. And I'm a wilted salad lover. So for me, I would probably put that dressing on and let the dressing kind of soak into the greens. But if you want to have it on the side, or if you want to have that dressing, but let me tell you a little bit about the balsamic dressing. The recipe's in the cookbook. It really lasts in the refrigerator for probably a month. It's got a score of ingredients in it, but it just holds up really well in the refrigerator. And you know, a lot of times you probably want a salad for dinner, but you don't want to go to the trouble to make the dressing. There's nothing like dressing made from scratch. So I highly recommend that you make that dressing to use for any kind of salad you might be doing at home. All right, so let's check on these pecans. All right, so this just is, you know, again, for this batch, and the reason I suggest making this many at once is because they keep so well. It's also a great friend gift. You know, take a bottle of wine, you know, take a candle, take something. Well, what about taking candied pecans that you made yourself? They're just delicious. So this is going to take a few more minutes, but in preparation for that, I went ahead and did some. So this is what you do. You dump that onto the pan, you put that in the oven and let it cook, and they get crystallized. So what you end up with is candy. It's just candied pecans. You can put this in a cute container to give as a hostess gift, but we're gonna be putting them on this salad with that dressing in just a few minutes. So come back with me after the break. We're gonna give you all the details of this fantastic giveaway, 3 prizes with Subzero Wolf. So come back with me in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and as you can see, we've created quite a display of food today, and I'm so glad you joined me. Hope you're going to try these recipes out of the new VeryVera cookbook. All right, so let's kind of walk through what we did today, because we've learned a lot, hopefully, and I can't wait for you to try these recipes and tell me what you think of them. So we started with the bread pudding, the pecan bread pudding, which uses croissants that you're gonna just tear up into 1-inch pieces. You're gonna put that in an 8x8 casserole dish that you've greased well. And then you're gonna make a wonderful mixture out of milk and vanilla. It has sugar, nutmeg, cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla, and you're gonna add eggs to that, and then you pour that over those croissants. You can let it sit for 10 minutes, or you can let it sit overnight, just depending on your schedule and what you have time to do. Then you're going to cover it with some pecans, put that in a 350-degree oven covered for about 25 or 30 minutes. And then after that, you're going to remove the foil and let that get good and brown on the top. It's wonderful. It obviously plates up beautifully. You can use it for a dessert, or you can use it for a brunch. It'd be great with a little bit of vanilla ice cream on top. All right, then we moved into the pecan crusted chicken salad, and this is a great recipe. You can have the cranberries and the mandarin oranges and the balsamic, the blue cheese already done, the balsamic dressing that goes on that. You're gonna dredge the chicken after it's been patted out and salt and peppered. You're gonna dredge it in buttermilk, and then the mixture that you made with the ground pecans and flour. This can be done ahead. You can do that aspect of it, put it in the freezer, but it's gonna bake. And then when you take it out of the oven, you want to cut it into nice strips just to lay beautifully on top of your salad. So that really turns out well. And then from there, we did the candied pecans. And this is, you know, a little bit of a process, but you can walk away from it for a few minutes. It cooks in the oven and it turns out really, really good. All right, so we have got a giveaway to talk about today, which is amazing. So Subzero and Wolf, as you know, is my overall show sponsor. We cook on their appliances every week on the show. All of the testing that was done for the cookbook was done with theirs. So this is what we need you to do in order to qualify for this contest. We want you to like us on Facebook, like the VeryVera Show and Subzero and Wolf. And then the chances to win are for a Wolf knife set, a set of Wolf cookware, and then a Wolf countertop oven. So there's 3 opportunities to win. We cannot wait to see who actually wins these prizes, and we need everybody to like us on Facebook. So I certainly want to thank my friends at Subzero and Wolf for their hospitality in their showroom today. If you're in the Charlotte area, or if you're stopping through, you need to come by and visit them. And as I always say on the VeryVera show, no matter what you do, do it in good taste. And I hope you'll come back and join me again next week for another episode of the VeryVera show. Bon appetit! Hey, I'm Vera Stewart, and I've got some exciting news. After almost 35 years in the food business, I've written my first cookbook. The VeryVera cookbook contains over 70 of my most well-loved recipes, from breakfast to dessert and everything in between. Renowned photographer Peter Frank Edwards beautifully captures the story behind each recipe. You can order your copy on our website, VeryVera.com, or on Amazon. Order yours today.